What's up, everyone? The Area Lord is back. I was kind of on a hiatus for a little bit, just busy and whatnot. Haven't made a Walking Dead vlog in a little bit, but I wanted to return to the channel and celebrate some news. This is always the popular time for Walking Dead news. Obviously, not so much last year because of unforeseen circumstances, but typically the San Diego Comic-Con time is always when we get lots of juicy Walking Dead information, and this time is no different. We had the official season 11 trailer, and normally I think I've done this with every trailer. I think from season 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and now I'm going to do a special. I don't know if this will be the last trailer. I guess we can theorize about that because the season 11 is very long. We can kind of do conjectures, and when I say we, I mean the Walking Dead world, who I've done many other collaborations and predictions and that kind of thing with in the past. How are you on this evening, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm kind of worn out from San Diego Comic-Con weekend because it's like just nonstop like content coming out, but it's always fun to get all that kind of at once and break it all down and stuff.
Yeah, you were telling me your Twitter account has been quite active these days, and I'm sure a lot of your fans who follow you will see this vlog. So, what can you? I guess before we jump in, what can you tell them about how is it keeping pace with three different TV shows?
Yeah, it's wild because I remember when I started my account. It's actually I've been running it for about 7 years now. I started at the end of July 7 years ago. And I mean, there was just one show at that point, and now we're up to three, and there's more on the way. And I mean, I cover them all, so it's crazy, especially when they do like panels for all of them. It's kind of crazy keeping up with all of it and getting all the news out and everything. So it's been interesting though. It's fun to see like how the franchise has grown and kind of be part of that in a fun sort of way. So it's been interesting. It's definitely a lot though. I never expected it to grow this big.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny because we were also talking about the viewership on the Walking Dead trailer, how it's not as much compared to previous years, but like the franchise keeps growing. Yet I don't know if the fan base is, because like they're coming out with quality stuff. Like I still do need to watch season 6 of Fear. I've heard good things about it, and I still would like to maybe go and binge watch it. Maybe I'll make a vlog where I like talk about how I think season 6 compares to what I saw in season 5, which ultimately turned me off from Fear the Walking Dead and from covering it at all on my channel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope that there's still interest in the show and that there's still fans who are. I mean, obviously we are, but we cover the show, we cover news, we cover updates, we do theories and all this stuff for it. So I mean, we're still very much in the thick of it. But for like the casual person, I mean, it's changed a lot. Like there's AMC Plus now, so it's like it's not as much on like cable streaming services and stuff. Like that viewership isn't as heavily, kind of predicated anymore and whatnot.
Yeah, and I feel like with them kind of expanding to streaming, I feel like they will get maybe some people back that they lost along the way, like especially with the Daryl and Carol show coming out after The Walking Dead's over. I feel like that could win back some of the older fans if they really like those two characters and kind of want to see what they're up to after the show's over. I feel like that could kind of get some people back. So it's kind of, I think it just kind of depends on what kind of content they put out after the main show is over.
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting kind of universe, and it's interesting how like they've doubled down on the show and like they haven't really kind of given up on it. I mean, obviously season 11 is going to be the final season. I had seen a theory that season 7 was going to be the last for Fear, but I guess that's not true. I don't know.
Yeah, so they apparently the showrunners haven't heard any word of that being the last season. So they're kind of just planning to keep going unless they get word from AMC. But normally with a show like that, they would announce, like obviously they did with Walking Dead that it would be ending. So I can't see them just canceling Fear or anything. So I think Fear might go one more season after this upcoming season to get it to 8. I think it still has a little bit left.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's cool for the world continuing. And then we know that there was only 2 seasons of World Beyond, and they just showed the second season. I kind of fell off of that a little bit. I saw the first episode, but I didn't stay as connected. Maybe I was hoping for more of a connection with the Rick Grimes movies. I mean, for me, that's the big draw. Like the Rick Grimes movies, like that
Yeah.
update, like where does that fall? Like for me, like that's really kind of what I'm waiting for, you know. So
Yeah, definitely.
really hope they have an update with that. But anyway, the purpose of this vlog is to go over the season 11 trailer. About 3 minutes and change here. And I guess overall, what'd you think of the trailer? I don't know if you wanted to take there's different aspects of it. How I used to cover these trailers is that I would do like a reaction video with like the trailer in the upper right hand corner. I'd watch it start to finish. Then I would like put the video on like 0.25 speed to find like the
Yeah.
smallest details you would never be able to pick out. And actually, in seasons past, I have actually found some things that like I wouldn't have seen. Like it was going so quickly, I'm like, oh shit, and then like I analyze it. So
Yeah.
it would take a while for us to do, but I guess just overall impressions up front. What'd you think? What's your grade, your letter grade for the trailer?
Yeah. So I think this might be one of my favorite ones, at least in recent memory. Just because for the past couple of months they've been really low key with their promotion of the show. They've kind of released like some stylistic like promotional things and a couple like photos and stuff, but there hasn't really been actual footage, which is strange because the show is not that far away from coming back. So it was nice to actually get to see like a lot of footage. And I mean, I was getting a little worried. I was like, is this season gonna actually like be good? Is this what they're filming like turning out good? And the trailer kind of like put all that away, and I was like genuinely impressed with what I saw throughout the entire thing. They packed so much into that, and it was stuff that I wasn't necessarily expecting because I was kind of anticipating a lot of Commonwealth and sort of what we are expecting to see with like Eugene and that group, but it was mostly focused on the group at Alexandria and what they're dealing with the Reapers and kind of the spillover from the bonus episode. So I wasn't expecting that at all, but I was pleasantly surprised because that is a threat that I'm interested seeing how they kind of deal with and explore. So I was genuinely impressed with the trailer.
Yeah.
They kind of always nail it with the trailer. I feel the Comic-Con trailer. They kind of show you what you need to see, and then kind of they do a lot of misdirects, which I like too. So I don't know what the misdirects will be in this trailer, but I really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you that it was, a pretty, there's a lot of angles to it. Like actually in talking about the freeze frame, I actually found this photo, the photo of Daryl like overlooking like that military compound. It looks like, did you
Yeah,
see all the tanks and shit there? That's like a military base. Did you see like all the tank? Like, I don't know
yeah,
if you paused on it, there's like a shit ton of tanks and there's like military hangars. Like, I don't know where they are. I mean, it's a badass shot because you have him, you have like his new jacket with the wing that Judith made, and he got like these dark
hmm
storm clouds. And yeah, it has like this like big perspective shot. Um,
it that shot in particular reminded me a lot of like the shot in the season 9 episode where Alpha has the border where she shows him the horde in the like cavern looking thing. And it also reminds me a lot of those comic shots where we see like the characters overlooking like this big like I don't know horde of walkers. That's kind of what it reminded me of, just like this big epic like shot of a single character. So that one definitely stood out to me the first time I saw it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They love their perspective shots. They do. I mean, it's part of cinematography to kind of get those those
Yeah.
images. It'll kind of captivate you. But like, I don't. it's interesting, like you said, like there's so many things in this trailer that are spillovers from season 10 and the bonus episodes. So the Reapers, which they like barely, they had that one intro episode where Maggie came back where they kind of talked about them and then they were never addressed again. And then you just had like the individual character episodes. And then and now like they seem to be like a focal point in this. And then you have who's the deaf chick, the one that, what's her name again, the
Oh,
one,
Connie. Hmm.
Connie, yeah, because they never resolved that. Like she was,
Yeah.
that was back in like the mid of season 10 when she got stuck underground. And then she was found at the end of season 10, and now like there's still like Kelly is still looking for her sister, so that's still an unresolved plot point. And like
Yeah.
I'm not sure like what are the events, what is your theory of like why are they like I've analyzed some of these photos, like they seem to be like underground, they are in like some sort of like military base, like fighting walkers inside of it, like I don't know. And then there's like the train tracks that are underground. Like, what do you think the purpose of that is? Is it Reaper related? Is it Commonwealth related? Like, what is it like in what's the relation there? Like, what do you think?
So I'm the way I kind of took it, and this is kind of based on the synopsis that AMC put out a little bit ago, where they kind of hint that Alexandria is really going to be struggling because they obviously have people from all the communities living there now, as it's kind of the last standing community, and they've just taken in Maggie's people, so they're going to be like having shortages with food and other resources. So my kind of take is that the beginning of the season is going to be the characters kind of going out and scavenging, trying to find food, and then the Reapers kind of come back into the fold and kind of mess things up. But from what I can tell, it that they are really focusing heavily on that, on the tunnels, that they've shown a lot in like photos, and then it was featured pretty heavily in the trailer too. It looks like some sort of subway system, and I'm thinking it maybe could be the metro in Washington D.C. because if you look at some of the shots and some of the photos they've released, it looks. I think people have pointed out that it does say like DC on some things, and we know they're close to DC, and they've been to DC before. They went there in season 9, so I could see them maybe venturing into the city and kind of trying to get some supplies, and then maybe they run across the Reapers and get stuck down there. Or I feel like that's going to be a big focal point of the first episode specifically, is that tunnel system. I feel like we might lose some of the characters, some of the smaller characters down there. But I feel like it's going to kind of build up to like Alexandria's last stand, to be perfectly honest. I feel like we might maybe not see the full end of the community, but I feel like it might get hit pretty hard by the Reapers and kind of force the rest of the characters to kind of head to the Commonwealth to kind of finish out the show. So I could see it kind of playing out that way, and the Reapers kind of being the catalyst for all that.
Right. And I'm thinking like into the comics because, and I said this in a vlog, it's very different the approach they're taking with the communities. If I don't know if you're like, you've read the comics, but the like there are 4 functioning communities in
Yeah.
the comics. Like the sanctuary is still being run by ex-saviors that have aligned with Rick. There's obviously Alexandria. Hilltop is still standing, even though it got attacked by the Whisperers. Like they don't abandon it. And then the kingdom is still being led. Like it's like Ezekiel isn't alive in the comics, but there's some other guy who's running it. But Kirkman just doesn't address it. And so there's that comic episode where the Commonwealth, like Pamela Milton, wants to know who these people are. So she shows up. That's that very classic comic shot with Rick standing outside of Alexandria with all the
Yeah.
Commonwealth soldiers like facing him with their guns. And before, like when they just released the cover art, I was like, oh shit, like are they gonna like take over? Like it looked very confrontational. Obviously, Kirkman loves misdirecting people, so he had that obviously to misdirect
Yeah.
people. So like and then there's that whole thing where Rick and Pamela Milton are like talking about like how they run the communities, how things are done. And then there's that line where like she's like, well, like you need to control them. And then that's where they clash on like how a civilization is meant to be structured and meant to be ordered. And so they have these, and so I don't want to jump into this, but like I feel like the Whisper arc and the Commonwealth arc were so bad and so weak in the comics. I just don't feel like Kirkman knew where he was going with the direction of either. Like the Commonwealth's purpose
Yeah.
was for him to kill off his main character, and then the Whispers had no backstory or relevance at all, other than adding Lydia
Yeah.
to the mix. So
Yeah, and it was so sudden between the two of them. It was like the Whispers end and then Commonwealth here, but it wasn't like there wasn't there wasn't like any real transition. It was just so sudden and like jarring how it kind of merged together.
right, and so yeah, it like I didn't understand, like there was they didn't really connect them well enough, and
Mm-mm.
there was no backstory for Alpha or any of the Whisperers, and like it didn't feel as strong as it could have been. So what I'm getting at is that they're going to have to handle the Commonwealth differently, because it looks like all the signs are indicating that Alexandria is going to be abandoned. Whether like it seems like it's teetering on the edge of disaster, and this Reaper conflict is going to push it over the edge. That's
Oh yeah.
my prediction, and I'm not sure like if Eugene is going to lead the Commonwealth back to Alexandria to kind of be like, because as far as Eugene knows, because think about this, they still think the Whispers are a threat. They don't know that
Yeah.
they've been dealt with, because when Eugene and the rest left, like they know that Alpha was killed, but they don't, like he doesn't know about Beta. He doesn't know about like the rest of the Horde. So in his mind, like he probably like he doesn't know if his friends are alive or not, and might want the Commonwealth as like, you know, reinforcements to help them. So I'm not sure if maybe he'll lead them back, or if Mercer or someone will like, you know, rattle the information out of him and just kind of slap him around until he admits it. I'm not, you know, I'm not sure. Maybe that could happen. But I'm wondering if they're just going to show up, or maybe they'll deal with these Reapers. Like maybe like they'll get involved in the conflict. I'm not sure. Because again, the Reapers are a totally like new group. It's left over from Maggie. I guess her bodyguard has some relevance to them. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I just gave a few predictions there, but like the direction has to be different, because in the comics it was more like we have an organized civilization, you have an organized civilization that's far beyond ours, but like we still, like Rick still felt like they were on an even playing field. But now like it's basically like desperation. It's like, oh, the Commonwealth is going to save us because we have one community left that's crumbling by the second, and there's these band of Friday the 13th motherfuckers who are coming to just who are coming to destroy it. So like it's two totally different story, like ways of telling the story of this advanced civilization that seems like it has this fucked up caste system. I mean, that's how it was in the comics. I'm not sure. We can talk about that because that's at the end of this trailer, right? The whole stuff with the
Yeah,
Commonwealth. So
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like when I first saw the Reapers in the bonus episodes, I was kind of like, this is kind of a weird threat to bring in after the Whisperers, because the Whisperers, I mean, that was like unlike anything we'd ever seen in the show, and it kind of felt like they were the be all end all villains. So I was kind of hesitant, and I was like, I don't know about the Reapers. And then the trailer kind of changed my opinion on that, because I was like, wow, they're kind of badass, and they're actually terrifying. Like it's creepy. So I feel like they will be an actually cool group of villains to explore. And I don't think it'll just be kind of like, okay, we're doing this threat for a little bit until we can kind of really get to the meat of the Commonwealth. I feel like the Commonwealth will definitely, I like your prediction of like the Commonwealth will kind of be the ones to maybe swoop in and help them and save them, and kind of be the thing that keeps the people of Alexandria alive. So that I really like that theory. But yeah, Commonwealth is gonna. I feel like that's a good thing to end the show with, like it was with the comics. I'm glad they're not going beyond that, because I mean, this community it's huge, and it's way bigger than Alexandria. It's fully functioning. They're not struggling like Alexandria is. This is the real deal. And I feel like it'll kind of change the entire feel of the show for this last season.
Yeah. And then there's a couple of wild cards though, because obviously the Commonwealth was created in the comics to serve the purpose of killing Rick and just ending it on like a shocker. But like
Yeah.
Rick's gone. And
Hmm.
we don't know, like, and Andrew Lincoln like was kind of joking around, like, oh, will Rick be in the final season? But like it would have been nice if they had at least one of these movies done. Like I know COVID kind of like affected that, but it would have been nice if we could have had that crossover. Like my theory was that, like, and this was the theory that I had since they announced the movies, was that like you were going to have some sort of crossover between the show and the movie, and you were going to end it somehow, like from and wrap it all up. Like a lot of people, I've seen comments, and I don't know if you agree, like the Commonwealth versus the CRM, like they're almost the same. Like it's funny, it's almost like white versus black. Like they have like opposite color armors too. Like, and
Yeah.
they both seem like the same type of place. Like obviously the Commonwealth almost has like a terminus vibe to it, where it's like, oh, this is like a perfect utopia, but actually there's some shit going on underneath the surface. But
Hmm.
like the they're not afraid to show what their intentions are. Like they'll just fucking wipe a place out if they have to. Like they're very strict, but they also seem scientific. Like there's a real purpose behind what they're doing. I mean, we don't know if the Commonwealth has a similar thing, but it seems like there's a real purpose behind like everything they're doing in terms of like who they're like the A and B thing, who they're collecting. Like it seems like I didn't watch The World Beyond the first season, so I'm not sure if they like revealed something about what they're doing, but I don't know if you can provide
Yeah.
context to that maybe.
Yeah. So I mean, World Beyond kind of, they didn't obviously, like, they can't reveal too much because they clearly do want to save a lot of that for the movies. Um, but what they showed in World Beyond was that the the CRM is probably the biggest, like, organization that's currently standing in the world of The Walking Dead. Like they have insane numbers, like unbelievable numbers. They have, I mean, a whole military. They've got all kinds of equipment. They've got helicopters flying all over the place, and they have this sort of ruthlessness to them that, like you said, they're willing to just knock a community down with no hesitation. So I wouldn't be shocked to find out if the CRM, is fully aware of the Commonwealth. They could be fully aware of Alexandria and our people there for all we know, because they from what it seems like they keep a close eye on sort of the comings and goings of everything, even from their role in Fear the Walking Dead. They definitely like to know what's going on, and they keep an eye on things. So I could definitely see some sort of showdown happening if they choose to bring back parts of the CRM in season 11. I kind of hope that they do, just as a way to tie it to the movies and kind of give us like a little tease of what's to come. I don't
Right.
know. I do love that idea of like kind of a final showdown between the Commonwealth
Yeah.
and CRM. I feel like that's just kind of like so badass.
I mean, it would be on a pretty big scale because you get the sense that like they're the same, like they're not exactly the same thing, but they seem like they're the same thing. And I'm very surprised that one doesn't know about the other. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll get name dropped. Maybe the CRM will get name dropped in as we learn about
Yeah.
the Commonwealth, and they'll be like, oh, they're our enemy, or we don't talk, like something, or maybe they have trade or a deal. Like, I don't know. Like, you see, you have to bring this in. This is a plot point you didn't have in the comics that's totally different, which obviously makes me more excited. But like, I'm
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to, like, that's the thing. Like I could at least predict some stuff with like the whispers, where like the iconic scenes, like the head on pikes, the way Alpha was killed. A lot of that was kept the same from the comics, but just remixed in the sense of like what characters were involved and how it happened. But
Yeah.
like I am drawing a complete blank with this, because Rick, the character of Rick, led the whole Commonwealth thing. It was him arguing with Pamela Milton about how the fuck things should be run. and he kills Dwight randomly in the fucking thing. It's just, I think that's why people got bored with it. It was just like all this, like, it was almost like why people hated the prequels of Star Wars. It was all like politics talk. Like they were,
Yeah.
it was just like endless pages of talking and talking. You had this cool angle with like Michonne found. I imagine they're going to do that too. They're going to have a character. And was this in the trailer? There was a scene where someone was like looking at a wall or something with like with the red armor,
Yeah.
the white armor on.
Yes.
Who was that? It
So
looked like Yumiko.
everyone, yeah, Yumiko, I think she'll be the one to get Michonne's comic arc, because she is shown looking at that wall of the loss of all the people who are, missing. And I don't know if it was in the trailer, if it was in one of the pictures that was released earlier, but if you zoom in on one of the notes, it says the name Miko, which I would assume is just short for Yumiko. So I can definitely see her taking that storyline. And it's interesting because one of the little cryptic promos they released a little bit back ago, it had a quick shot of a store at the Commonwealth that said Elodie's, I don't know what it said, Elodie's like store or something. And in the comics, that's Michonne's daughter. That's the one, that's where that whole storyline comes from in the comics, where someone's reunited with their loved one. So I could really see them doing that with Yumiko and kind of giving her that plot that Michonne gets there, because they seem to really be focusing a lot on her, especially at the end of season 10, and then kind of going into season 11. I feel like she'll kind of be one of the standout characters that they give a lot of material to.
Yeah, I don't, it's gonna be, and then there were, I mean, there's a lot to talk about in this fucking trailer. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah.
But I agree. I agree with what you're saying there. Sorry, I got so sidetracked. Wait, what were you just saying? I just because I saw something in on one of the
Yumiko getting the
the
story.
Yumiko arc. Yeah. I agree with, like, I don't see how you could do it with like another character. Like the only other like long-standing character I feel you could get away with it is maybe like Rosita, but like she's not there. Like, so I think that's what's going to happen. You have to have a character that's already there that you can do it with. Like Princess is too new to make it have an impact. So I think like, yeah, I think they're going to have it be Yumiko. I mean, it was more impactful in the comics because you had Michonne, who was like an OG character, find the person. So you're like, oh my God, like someone we've been with since the beginning gets to the end, and then they find someone.
Yeah.
Like, so like, I almost like would like if Carol, or like maybe if Carol had like a sister or something, I don't know, something crazy like that. Like, but,
yeah.
And
I do kind of like that if it is Yumiko, that, because we've gotten to know her over the past 2 seasons or so, but there's still a lot we don't know. And this kind of does give some potential for some backstory, because I feel like with some of the characters we've had for a long time, like Daryl and Carol, we kind of know like a good amount about, who they are and what they come from. We know Daryl's past, we know a lot of Carol's past, but we don't really know too much about characters like Yumiko or the newer people. So this kind of opens up the door to actually give some really deep backstory that wasn't necessarily available before.
Yeah,
so I kind of like it.
Yeah, I do too. The other angles I was going to discuss is what was with Maggie wearing a Whisper mask? Like there were a couple of Whisper references in this trailer.
Yeah. So I kind of get the feel that we might not be done seeing the Whispers. I feel like there might be a few left sort of lurking out there, and I kind of think that's what they showed the hilltop for. In the trailer, we get these kind of sad shots of the hilltop just completely destroyed, and it looks like Carol, Aaron, Jerry, and Lydia go there to maybe scavenge for some leftover supplies or see what's left standing. And then there's a shot that looks like they're downstairs in the prison they constructed under the building, and I kind of get the feel that maybe like they find some Whispers who are kind of just living down there who survived, because we really didn't get to see. I mean, we saw Beta die, obviously, and we saw Alpha die. We saw a lot of the kind of just random unnamed people die in the Horde, but we didn't. I mean, I just can't picture like every single one of them being completely gone. I feel like some of them probably slipped away or, got away. And I kind of like the idea of it spilling over a little bit and Maggie getting to kind of be involved a little bit. I feel like that could be cool to maybe get her like a moment of revenge for the hilltop being destroyed and all these people she cares about being killed by them. I feel like that'd be kind of, because she wasn't involved in the Whisperer story at
Yeah.
all in the show.
And then
She's
she has a
popped in at
mask.
the
Yeah,
last
it's like,
minute.
yeah, and then she's wearing a mask. And the other thing is like, is this like a trick that they picked up now to like kind of like almost, it's ironic, like now they're gonna use their trick to kind of like blend with the dead and stuff. And
Yeah.
isn't it funny in our current world, like you have to wear a mask in order to like protect yourself from like the zombies, kind of like
Yeah.
wearing a mask to protect. I kind of, when I said the word mask, I was like, wait a minute, this is striking a
Yeah.
little too close to home right now. So
Way too close to home.
yeah. And then the final angle is the whole Maggie Negan thing, because, and that's another big difference from the comics, is that Negan just wanders off into this, and I hated this. Negan just wanders off into the freaking sunset, and then he's gone. He's not involved with the Commonwealth arc at all in the comics. And then there's like one post-credit scene where he's just like, he's in a house, and then there's obviously the Here's Negan comic that came out last summer that showed, the kind of shows that he was just on his own, and then there, he was with this girl that was being held by these raiders. He kills the raiders, and then his purpose is to go find his wife's remains and put them in the ground and finally put Lucille to rest after, talking about her and thinking about her for so long. But like, can you imagine Negan with the Commonwealth stuff? Like, I just can't imagine his, like, I mean, like old, like even comic Negan with like the swear, like that would have just been like that's gold right there. Like, I just don't see how you say to yourself, oh yeah, no, my last big arc, this giant civilization, and one of my favorite fan favorite characters, now he's not going to be in it. It's like, how the fuck? It's like, why? It's such a dumb decision. So like, I hope that they don't do it. Also, you don't have a whole hell of a lot of big characters left. Like, you take him away, like I feel like he's a reason a lot of people are still watching too. So like, and that's why I was nervous with the bonus episode and I had this in predictions. I was like, I hope that Here's Negan doesn't go like the comics, where after his whole backstory arc, he just fucks off the show. And I loved it when he came strolling back to Alexandria like a badass, like, yeah, I'm back, and he just didn't give a shit. And I was like, oh yes, thank you, like he's still for the final season. Good.
That made me so happy that was the last shot of the entire season. Like, that's how they end that episode, but that's the last thing that we see in season 10 is him just with that smirk on his face looking at Maggie. And I'm like, that's such a cool way to kind of like tease what's to come for the end and show that he's not going anywhere, at least at the beginning of this season. He's going to be part of this story that he didn't get to be part of in the comic. And like you said, you kind of, the idea of him actually being part of the Commonwealth and kind of, seeing that kind of like culture shock of it all reminds me a lot of when he first came to Alexandria, when they were, giving him the tour of everything, and he's dropping all these funny lines. The one that still gets me is it's like a zoom in of his face, and he goes, "Hot diggity dog, this place is magnificent." And the camera like pulls away, and he's just like blown away by the whole place. And then he's making fun of Father Gabriel, and he's like blown away by the whole place. I think that has like some really cool potential to show something that they didn't do in the comics, and just have him be like kind of classic Negan for like he was back in the day.
I mean, he's changed a lot. He's a completely changed person. He's got good he's friendships with Judith especially, and I don't know, it seems like he wants to, I don't know, do something to prove to Maggie that like he's with them. And I don't know, like it doesn't, like it seems, and like this whole thing of like fighting and whatnot, like he's trying to fight to earn his keep. So like he's involved with this whole underground military, fight kind of thing. And so I'm hoping that he gets his fair due. I hope that the Reaper conflict isn't the end of him. I hope that he makes it to the Commonwealth and this whole thing, gets shown. So yeah. So Then you got what the, you know what? I had a theory. Here's my I don't know. I'm not sure how long we're going on the recording here, but I had this theory. They cast all the Commonwealth people, Mercer, Lance Hornsby, Pamela Milton. We see Lance in the end of the trailer. They didn't cast Sebastian. My
Yeah.
theory is that that little girl that's standing next to Lance is like they remixed it. You know how like sometimes they do like the opposite gender for like instead of
Yeah.
in Alexandria it was that older guy who was in charge, but then in the show it's Deanna Monroe
Yeah.
instead. I'm wondering if it's a girl who's like the spoiled brat person that kills off a big main character. Hopefully, I don't know. Like my only predictions at this point. I mean, really, it could only be Daryl, right? Like Daryl's the only one for like,
Yeah.
but wouldn't that be stupid if like some little girl with buck teeth kills like the show's like biggest character? Like that
I
would be
mean,
ridiculous.
I honestly would not put anything past them. I could see them doing some sort of thing like that where they just have this like innocent looking girl. I mean, if you've watched Fear the Walking Dead, you know that they've done stuff like that over there. So it's not beyond them to try something like that on Walking Dead. So I don't know. I also think it could be that they just maybe did cast the character Sebastian, just kind of kept it under wraps because they know the diehard fans know what that means by him being brought into the story. So that could just be that they, didn't want to say yet. Or I mean, it is possible, in my opinion, that they might just take that storyline out entirely. I don't
Well,
know.
because Sebastian's character is only there to like show the wicked side of the Commonwealth, and then also because
Yeah,
out of fucking nowhere he kills Rick.
yeah,
So so I mean, but that's basically like the head on like because every arc has that oh shit moment, like Negan, the head
yeah,
bashing, the head pikes with the whispers. The Commonwealth, it almost comes to a civil war. And then Rick has that like giant speech where no one goes to war. And then Pamela Milton, goes to jail and abdicates her power. And then Sebastian wants revenge. And then but it's the whole thing is kind of dumb. Like there were no guards. Like someone, like how easy was it for some kid to just barge into someone's room and like it was kind of silly. It's like the
yeah,
great Rick Grimes is killed in his bed by like it was kind of a silly death, and that's what Kirkman wanted. He was like, oh, like it didn't have to be some epic epic death on like a horse ride. Like it didn't need to be like this big epic thing. Like he wanted it to be the most mundane thing again, like trying to kill expectations. So
yeah,
I don't know. But like I feel like they kind of have to do it though because that's the Commonwealth's big like moment, But like we don't
yeah.
have Rick unless Rick returns. Like we don't have him, and so really Daryl or Negan. But I don't. I mean, Negan is still a villain for a lot of people because he killed a couple fan favorites. So it would really have to be Daryl. He's the only person
Yeah.
that could really fit that death.
I could see maybe Maggie, but I feel like that would be kind of weird since she was just brought back. I feel like that would be just kind of, I don't know. I don't know if that would fit, but yeah, I Daryl just seems like the best bet. But then we have the spinoff, so that kind of throws.
Oh yeah, wait a
Kind of,
second. There's a fucking spinoff with these two. So wait, is that confirming that well, oh my god, you're right. Yeah. So does that mean that like he's not gonna? Oh man, shit.
but
That
but the
fucked
thing
it
with
up.
that is too, we don't know when in the timeline that'll be taking place. We don't know. It's so complicated
But like
trying to.
if they killed Daryl off, who the hell would watch a show about Daryl and Carol? It's like, oh, here they were
Yeah,
before. It's like, why? And the thing is, they don't meet until the first season. Like Daryl, they don't
yeah,
meet until that little camp that's outside of Atlanta where the show first started. So we know it can't be before. So it has to be after. So what? Again, are we assuming that Daryl's character is just going to live? I guess that does kind of fuck my theory up. Damn, I forgot about that. Shit. Oh man.
yeah. It's kind of it's hard to tell, and that's why I wish they wouldn't like announce certain things so early, because it's like, well, are Daryl and Carol just like not going to be in any real danger for the entire final season? Because that kind of takes a lot of the tension out of things if we know that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know why they announced that. I don't. I have to. I mean, Angela Kang did such a great job with the Whispers. I want to. I want to like. I feel like she's gonna do this arc justice. That we just got to give it a chance. We haven't. They haven't had a full episode with these guys yet. Like, there's been no. It's only been the princess backstory, and those bonus episodes were not going to reveal story stuff. It was more just
Yeah,
individual character driven stuff, just to give the characters some extra meat going into the actual episodes that are going to progress the plot. So we haven't, other than that one scene where they get captured at the rail yard, we haven't really seen these guys. So I'm hoping that they do them justice. Now we have the whole thing with the freaking like, who the hell are the Reapers now? Like, I don't know, because it's like I got like two groups. So I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, it's a lot of content, which is good, but like I can't like put my finger on it. And like I think that's good. Like, it's intriguing for me in that sense, but like it's so hard to read into. Like, what's the arc gonna be like? I can't. I just gotta watch it. Like, I have no predictions, at least for the
yeah.
Negan stuff. Like, I at least, other than what they did with Carl, I pretty
Hmm.
much knew how a lot of that Negan arc was gonna go. Like, Dwight
Yeah,
betrays him. Like Dwight jumps onto Rick's side, and then Negan isn't killed, and he's captured, and that makes a big statement. Like, I knew, like, as soon as Morgan was building that freaking jail cell in season 6, and that wasn't going to happen until 2 years later. I said to my friends in college, I was like, that jail cell is like, I knew it was for Negan. Like, I knew it.
yeah.
And so,
Hmm.
like, but this is different. Like, I can't predict this shit at all, which is probably
No.
good.
Uh-uh.
It's
Yeah.
probably good for the best. So
Especially with a final season. I mean, it's kind of like all bets are off, honestly. Like, I mean, it really could be anything, and it's 24 episodes this time. So it's, I mean, they have a lot of episodes to fill. So we could get all kinds of stuff that we don't. I mean, in the trailer, that's only, from what I'm hearing, that's only the first 6 episodes. So, there's still a ton of episodes after that we have no clue what's even going to
yeah,
happen.
which is
So
good,
it's
because
crazy.
you want to give the Commonwealth its time. Like, it should
Yeah,
have the same amount of time that, like, the Whisperers and, like, the Saviors. Like, it should have, like, it should have its time to be established as what it is, how it functions, who these people are, what they believe, that whole thing.
yeah,
so
definitely,
so
for sure.
well, I guess that covers it. I'm just kind of like clicking through these random things. I saw, like, there is a freeze frame of Mercer. You have you had that video of the Commonwealth where it was like, there's a guy like painting. The guy painting. They're walking through Union Station. Yeah, Union Station. The statue that Lance and, I guess, his daughter, or whoever the hell that girl is, I don't know if it's a statue of the Great War, like World War One, because it says it right next
Hmm.
to it. It says the Great War, 1917. I didn't know if the Great War, if that, at first I was like, is that a reference to the apocalypse? But it was just like the World War One. Um,
Yeah,
and then he's talking about the common. I'm wondering how big the Commonwealth is going to be. Like, right now, it looks like, like a districty kind of area. Like, I can't get a sense of like how big it is. Some people riding bikes. I mean, that's about it. So it's just
yeah,
like, I got thrown off though. Like, the train cars. Like, there's that one shot of Union Station with the train cars. I was like, what is this? Like a Terminus throwback? Like, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I got some Terminus vibes from it. Of anything, like, I didn't get the vibe that it was like this gigantic civilization that was near like a football stadium. I got the sense that yeah, it had like the Terminus vibe to it.
yeah. That's what I was thinking too. With like Lance showing up at the end, I was like, this reminds me of like when they first met Gareth, and he was like he seemed friendly and everything, and even the way that they've communicated with our group, it was over radio, and that's how Terminus was recruiting people. It was sending out the messages over the radio. I'm like, this is giving me major Terminus vibes, and also Woodbury, because it kind of reminded me of the governor, just that sort of like the very like nice politician where like they've got stuff going on behind the scenes that isn't nice. That's what it's reminding me of a lot of.
Yeah. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of cool, like, just just there's gonna be a lot of content to this. Like I'm interested to see how this is gonna pan out with these freaking Reapers. I don't know about that. I saw the notepad that Connie left, like trap with the dead, walk with them for days, no light, no food, little water. So she has that note that she left for her sister. I don't know if you read the note, like on the freeze frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a zombie that has bees, like a bee zombie. What the hell was that?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
There was, I don't know if you saw the ones that were like crawling. That is creepy. I don't know what that's about, where they're like crawling in the house on the floor. I have no clue what that's about. If it's some type of new walker or something. Definitely interesting though.
Yeah, I'm clicking through right now to see. I keep getting hung up on that shot. Is Negan with the flashy light, and yeah, I mean all the shots of Alexandria really, like, it just shows it like crumbling. Like there's the shot of Magna with her bow and arrow, and like all the panels are falling down. Like the place is just like ready to freaking crumble.
Yeah.
You know, like it just seems like that they really seem to be painting the picture that like this place is screwed, and that like, and that's what you want. You want the whole group to be at the Commonwealth in the end. And I think that's what's going to happen. Like everyone's going to just migrate over there. Because think again, in the comics, like there were some characters that weren't involved in the freaking arc. Like,
yeah,
you know, Lydia never went. Like there were so many characters that like just didn't. And Kirkman's like, oh no, we're done telling their stories. Now we're just gonna deal with this. I was like, dude, like, but you can't get away with that in a show. Like you have to wrap up the characters, so like they have to be there. So that's what I'm thinking. They're gonna get rid of it, and then they're gonna go on. So you know, I feel like that's only natural. So you know,
definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it. If you have any closing things, I guess now would be the time to get it out there.
Yeah, I'm just really excited for the. I mean, this is really just the first part of 3, so I'm excited to see what they have in store for us with the Reapers, with the Commonwealth, with, I mean, I guess the end of Alexandria, kind of just wrapping up that storyline, which has been part of the show for so long. There's a lot that I'm looking forward to, and a lot that I wasn't really expecting to be so excited about. But now now that we've seen the trailer, I'm really excited to kind of get into it. And it's getting close. It's crazy how fast it's come up. But, once it kind of starts, it's those 8 episodes fly by. So I'm really excited to kind of get into it and get through this first part.
Yeah, man. And I'll be following your Twitter for little tidbits of information. I feel like sometimes when I see your Twitter, it inspires me to like, I was like, oh, maybe I should make a vlog about that. Like, I don't know. Maybe I should do it. So, yeah, I'll leave your link obviously in the description here. This will be kind of my in-depth look at all things for the trailer. I'll probably make some more vlogs. It's coming up, right? We're only got about a month until this stuff resumes. So
yeah, it's like a little bit less than a month because we're almost in August, and then that's it.
Damn,
crazy.
That's it. I know. Awesome. Well, thank you to Jeff from the Walking Dead World Twitter account. It's been fun as always. I'm sure we'll do some sort of follow-up to this at some point for another trailer, or just if the season gets too out of control, we need to corral ourselves back in, whatever ends up happening. But cool stuff. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.